Okay, let's be real, guys. The first and biggest challenge of coming out of religion and mending or dealing with broken relationships because of that is confronting and telling your parents about it.
Yeah.
Like, that's where the real religious trauma often comes from, is dealing with your parents.
For sure.
So we are going to today talk about coming out to your parents as a deconstructed Christian or atheist or whatever post-evangelical Christianity is. By the way, welcome to Drew's channel. We are not AI, contrary to popular belief in the comments here. This is really my real channel.
I'm real.
I'm Drew from Genetically Modified Skeptic, and this is my wife Taylor. She has a channel called The Antibot. And I guess I won't say that we talk about life and relationships after leaving the church because this is a different channel.
Yeah, it feels like we should say that because we're always
kind of are today
filming together for my channel.
Yeah.
So like it feels like that. It's weird to be filming for yours. I don't know.
What should we say for our little intro? You guys let us know in the comments.
He's chosen. Ray Shine, they're all chosen. Like, I'm a little thrown, honey. I am thrown. Like,
I don't understand what you're saying. Shalay, do you think she understands what you're saying?
she said she don't believe in God.
Shalay, do you think she understands what you're saying?
I guess. I don't know.
What did you say? You don't believe in
She
God,
don't
right?
understand what you're saying.
She's like, I do not believe in God. She don't want me praying for her or none of that.
She don't think you understand what she's saying.
I do understand what she's
You
saying.
don't think you understand her.
Yeah, I mean, one of my first thoughts when I was telling my own parents that I didn't believe in God anymore was also like, oh, this was a mistake because this reaction is like not acceptable.
Yeah.
You know? And I mean, like what I'm seeing here is that I don't know how she told her, but like in any way that you like tell a parent, oh, I don't believe in God, the appropriate and like emotionally mature response is not to like kind of throw a fit and be like, oh, well, you don't want me to even pray for you. You don't care about anything. And like, I don't know. I think that a lot of the time we encounter less emotional maturity than should be exhibited by adults, especially a parent of like a grown kid.
Yeah. My first thought is her lashes are lashing.
Yeah.
But also it kind of seems like her mom is a little bit in denial and saying like, no, she's chosen. She can't not believe in God because God has chosen her.
Yeah.
And so I feel like, you know, the mature and responsible response to have is not to immediately go into denial and be like, no, you don't really mean that, because, you know, their decision to not believe in God doesn't have anything to do with you as a parent and isn't a reflection on you being a like poor parent, you know?
Yeah. Another thing that I see here is that it sounds like, I'm assuming like her brother, I think, is saying like, basically, Mom, do you even understand what she's saying? And like, you know, to my little sister, do you think that Mom understands what you're saying? And the girl who's coming out like not believing in God to her mom is just like, all she can say is, I guess, because like she knows that if she expresses more than that, like more articulately really what is going on and what she thinks, the mom's not going to be able to handle that. And like how common is that? How often do we see that?
Yeah, that's very common. I think it's a common experience for people our age to have a relationship with their parents where they feel like they can't like be genuinely who they are, whether or not like it might not be a religious disagreement, but just in general, I feel like a lot of people I've talked to, it's just they don't think that they can be their authentic selves because they know the reaction that their parents are going to have if they're their authentic selves, and it's not going to be good.
Yeah. Let's compare that one to this classic video that you've definitely seen. This is a pre-TikTok. I think even a pre-Vine video.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I think this was originally like a Facebook video or maybe YouTube back in like 2010 at the latest.
You're an atheist. Give me a fucking break, Michael. All right, you know what? We need to start going to church every week. I've had it with this.
I don't believe in God.
Bullshit. You got yourself confirmed, and you said to the bishop.
Ugh.
Yeah, a lot can happen. You can think.
Oh, that can happen. All of a sudden, you can just quit believing in God?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, there is no God.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you, you want to know there's no God? Then you're going to get absolutely nothing.
Oh my
nothing
God.
for Christmas, because that's what Christmas is about, is Jesus Christ.
Okay.
No, it's not okay, Michael.
Oh my God.
Yeah. That, and I would say that is actually a pretty reflective experience of what, or a pretty reflective video of what a lot of people do experience. Like getting up in your
Yeah.
face and yelling at you.
Or at least the yelling part.
And like, I'm going to punish you. And even being like, not just emotionally, but kind of physically aggressive and
Yeah.
posturing in that way. I'm really, really like proud of him for being like, okay, sure,
Yeah.
fine then, you know, and like actually speaking up a bit.
Yeah, that video gave me anxiety.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you were confirmed or whatever, you went through confirmation,
Yeah.
or you said you believed in God before, and what, now you just like suddenly don't believe in God? And it's like, people change their minds about stuff all the time. And actually, it's kind of a sign that you're like a mature and self-actualized person if you're willing to kind of change your position on things, because it shows that you're like sitting there evaluating and analyzing things that you believe.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's just like, she wants her child to be exactly who they were when they were
A
young.
child. Yeah.
And is not okay with the fact that they're a grown adult that has their own opinions and feelings about stuff.
Yeah.
And that's like, unfortunately, a very common thing. I feel like a common like dynamic between parents of that generation and their children is that they want to live in a fantasy world where like their child is exactly how they envisioned that they would be, rather than having a genuine relationship with their actual child. And it's like super sad.
The funny thing here is when she brings up confirmation, he goes, yeah, a lot can happen in, and I'm assuming he means like in, you know, several years. He says, you can think.
Yeah.
And it's like,
exactly.
yeah.
You should be thinking.
And like the fact that she wants to punish him into believing in God, like
that's
shows
gonna work.
how incredibly immature her relationship with religion is. And like, I'm sorry, but that is extremely common. And a lot of these people do, like a lot of those people who even have a really immature relationship like with God or with religion in the first place will use the like no true Scotsman, like, oh, well, that bad person that says they're Christian, well, they're not a true Christian. And yet they'll also do these things. Like that's common.
Yeah.
Hey, I wondered if you have a video or can make a video of how to come out to your parents as an atheist. There is not much advice that I can give you on this one, unfortunately. My, success with trying to get my mom to accept that I believe different beliefs has been no. I have made absolutely no progress with her, and I have been, deconstructed from Christianity for about 2 to 3 years now, and all she does is try to, pull me back into it. She just thinks, that I'm just going to come back one day, or that, I'm just lost, and it's like I'm watching my mom grieve me while I'm still alive. I'm watching my mom, accept that, I'm going to hell and I'm living by Satan and all these things, and I quite literally had to separate myself from my mother. So I don't know, maybe our moms are different, and maybe yours would be, or your parents would be more understanding. But from my experience, I don't think my mom will ever accept that I believe differently. I think that she is going to, try to get me to convert to the day she's gone. And it's heartbreaking, it's like trying to talk to a wall. It's like trying to reach somebody that doesn't want to be reached. So yeah, this is something that I've kind of, had to accept, and is a huge motivator on why I, talk about things that I do, because I see the potential damages that it can and has caused.
Yeah, I feel like I've had a lot of people ask me for advice on like dealing with their relationship with their parents, or just relationships that they have in real life, and how to navigate that now that they've left or deconstructed Christianity. And I feel like I can relate to this person here in that, like, I feel like I don't have a lot of good advice, because one, every single situation is going to be different, and like I can't speak to everyone's situation.
Yeah.
But also it's like the track record, not necessarily for myself, but just the track record I see with a lot of other people who left Christianity dealing with their parents. It's like there really isn't a best way to handle it.
Yeah.
You know, I think at the end of the day, the most important thing for anyone to do is kind of protect their own peace and establish boundaries that are going to be healthy and work for them, and realize that they have, you know, value, inherent value that's like not attached to how their parents or their family sees them. And I think that's really all you can do is just like protect yourself and not necessarily worry about how they're going to react to things, because usually they're not going to react that well. And that like that's not a reflection on anything that you're doing.
Yeah. I think one of the things you have to do, especially if you're raised like kind of evangelical, is you have to be prepared for a permanent relationship change. Like, it's unfortunately something that, I mean, not for everybody, but it's really common to, you know, tell your parents this, and it's something that can't be unsaid. They can't unhear that, and they can't look at you the same way anymore. Mm-hmm. It will permanently change the way they relate to you. And sometimes it's completely like a personal moral failing of the parents. Yeah. And then sometimes it is, they have just so thoroughly internalized like the reality of heaven and hell and salvation and stuff like that, that they look at their own kid and they see like an empty husk that's just gonna like go to hell. Yeah. And like, of course they still, I think that most parents, even if they feel that way, like they love their child, but they have been so groomed and indoctrinated themselves that they can't get over this, like these lenses that they wear to where they can only see somebody who's like explicitly not Christian as like damned or like immoral or like lacking fundamentally in what makes you like valuable, to be honest.
Yeah, and it's really sad when he said that he felt like his mom, I think, was like grieving the loss of him as a person while he was still alive. Yeah. And like, that's really not a great feeling to have as a child when you're like, I'm literally right here. I'm still the child that you love. I still, you know, am the same person. It's just, I don't believe exactly the same way that you believe. And like, there's no need for you to like grieve a loss that hasn't happened. Yeah. And to add to what you were saying about, you know, being prepared for your relationship to change. Yeah, I think that you should definitely be prepared for that and like take into account that that is something that very likely could happen. But I also think that that shouldn't be something that's discouraging you from having that conversation with your family, because the alternative is to basically put on a mask and be a different person around them, which is going to take a whole different toll on you. And I mean, every situation is going to be different. For some people, maybe it really just is better that they just fake it around their family. Maybe they only see them for like the holidays.
Or maybe they're financially dependent on them.
Yeah. There could be a lot of reasons for that. But also consider like, you know, holding all of that in and pretending to be somebody that you aren't actually in reality. Yeah. That can also like have a very big toll on you as a person too.
All right, so this next one is actually a mock coming out video made by a Christian account.
Oh.
And you'll see why he decided to do that.
Ugh, okay.
Hey, Dad, I don't believe in God.
What? You're grounded. You're going to go in there and read this until you do.
Look, most of you know I'm a Christian, and if my kid said that to me, it would break my heart. But if you think acting like that is going to bring them back to Jesus, please think again.
Okay, that's pretty good so far, right? I think that's, you know, not too bad.
See, that's the problem with most Christians. We want to force.
That's really good, right?
Yeah, I mean, I want to say it's like really good because I still see him like, that's not going to bring your children back to Jesus, as if that should be like a goal that you have as a parent. I think as a parent, you should want to just your children to believe in and do whatever makes them happy. Yeah. You know, within reason, obviously.
Yeah, no, that's reasonable. Well, yeah, here's where the shoe drops.
Okay.
And that means love the unlovable, love the difficult. That's how you show somebody Jesus.
Do better.
So you're saying that your children are unlovable and difficult if they say they don't believe in God?
Yeah. He's like, oh, Christians, I want to encourage you to love your kids even when they're pathetic and gross and we shouldn't love them. That's what Christians are called to do, is love the fundamentally unlovable and broken. And it's like, it doesn't matter. I've said this so many times, like in my career. It doesn't matter how many times pastors or evangelists or whoever says, Christians, be nice to atheists. Yeah. Because if you see atheists as so fundamentally other that they're not even like worthy of love in the first place, and that you're doing them a charity to even care about them, you don't see them as human in the same way that you see Christians as human, and that will always lead to mistreatment.
Yeah, because
like, this advice will lead to mistreatment.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, because like in the first clip, or like the first little scene, he was like pretending to be really mad and like be like, what, you don't believe in God? And it's like, yeah, I mean, it's better if you're not yelling, but if you still are saying that your child is unlovable and difficult and like being a bad person because they don't believe the same thing as you do, that's like a reflection on how poor of a parent that you are. That like something that small that like really ultimately shouldn't matter or get in the way of your relationship is something that you're fundamentally allowing to change your perspective on your child. Like, that's really, really messed up.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's one of the biggest things that like gets in the way of functional relationships between like atheist or agnostic or deconstructed Christian or whatever, like not evangelical Christian kids and their evangelical parents, is that the evangelical parents prioritize them and their entire family having a very specific religious orientation over everything else, including the relationships with their own kids. And like, if you think that, if you prioritize things that way, if you prioritize very specific beliefs over people, then you're always going to dehumanize.
Yeah.
You know, there's like kind of like an atheist church kind of network. You don't have to be an atheist to go there, but it's kind of like an atheist church called Oasis. And one of their slogans is people are more important than beliefs.
Yeah.
So you can go there and like be whatever religious orientation there. And as long as you are treating people there well,
I'm
then
sure
it works.
There are some beliefs, like if you're like a Nazi or something, I'm sure that they're
that probably,
not down with that.
That probably wouldn't work.
But that's like inherently like you're dehumanizing and marginalizing other people. So
yeah. But I mean, I think that the orientation that a lot of us end up having is thinking like, well, people are more important than beliefs. And that's kind of like an incompatible thing with belief over people mindsets that a lot of evangelicals have, even when they're our own parents.
And it's kind of like they're constantly trying to fix something that is just like inherently broken. Mm-hmm. They're like, okay, well, you can just tweak this to be a little better, or you can just tweak this to make it better, and like just change your tone of voice when you're talking to your child, and that will completely change. And it's like, or maybe just like don't do this at all. Like, why is that not an option?
Don't make them a project at all.
Yeah, like
just have a relationship with them.
Don't care about them believing the exact same thing that you do. Like, why is that never an option? They're constantly just trying to like fix something that like is just not fixable. Like the whole thing, the whole system is like fucked. You know?
Like the whole system of them wanting to like convert their kid and seeing their kid as unhuman, not that like their kid being a like non-believer, that's like fucked.
Oh no. Like them trying to like convert their child is fucked.
Right. All right. This one's long, but it's a good story, I think. I edited it a little bit just to get through it more quickly, but yeah, it's an interesting one.
Okay.
Let me tell you the story about the time when I decided to tell my parents, who are evangelical Christians, that my husband and I are both atheists when we were out to eat at a restaurant. And before you start criticizing me hearing that intro, was it the best decision? No. But does it justify their actions or behaviors afterwards? Also, no. Those are their responsibility. So like many people who grow up evangelical and decide to leave the church for a multitude of reasons, I really started my deconstruction journey in I want to say 2016, 2017. It was my last year at a Christian university. Trump was campaigning for election, and I was watching around as all of these so-called Christians who followed and worshipped Jesus chose to vote for somebody who was causing irreparable harm to the groups of people that Jesus called us to support the most. And that's when I first really started to see this hypocrisy. And things started to break down for me. But I would say by 2020, I definitely was like fully deconstructed in that I did not really believe any of Christianity anymore.
How relatable is that? Like, I feel like that's a super, super common experience was that people saw the hypocrisy of Christians like not caring about human rights or the continued existence of poor people.
Yeah.
And in 2016, 2017, and that was like, oh, that hits you harder than any argument against the existence of God. Like the hypocrisy, the moral hypocrisy of the people who you used to think like cared about other humans because of Jesus.
Yeah, definitely. She mentioned telling her parents this at a restaurant, and she's saying like, oh, that wasn't the best decision. And I'm curious to see where she goes with that. Because for me, I'm actually like, that might be a good choice because you're out in public, and that would hopefully kind of make it so that they aren't going to have a big blow up in front of like other people. Or at least you can leave. You can be like, oh, we're done with dinner. We're going to leave.
You would think.
You would think?
You would
Okay.
think. I generally, if you said that divorced from this context, I'd be like, yeah, that's a good option. But like, yeah, you'll see.
Okay.
So I believe it was like 2021 or 2022. We were out to eat with my parents at a very, very fancy restaurant. And I'm just talking about how it's difficult to like make friends as an adult, which we all know. And how there's like not, because of capitalism, there's not a lot of like third spaces or community groups where it's easy to develop strong friendships. And where I am good at making individual friendships, my spouse has a harder time. And so I wanted to find like couple friends so that we could spend time with people all together, because I think that's easier for my spouse. And my mom kept suggesting to join a small group at a church. And then she was asking what church we were going to. And I was like, I had been, as the former golden child that I had just been keeping it secret.
I definitely had a prolonged period of keeping it secret. I don't know if I would have called myself the golden child, but like faith was very important to me, and my parents were very like proud of me for keeping the faith and doing like service type projects and going to a Christian university. And so, yeah, I mean, for me, it was like I had to keep that under wraps for around a year before I said anything. And like you were saying earlier, that takes a really serious toll on you.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I feel like with your parents, they saw the fact that you were keeping it a secret as something that you were doing wrong.
Yeah.
And to that, I would say maybe question why you think, or why your child feels like they can't be genuine and authentic with you.
Absolutely.
Because if they feel like they can't say something because they're afraid of your reaction to it, or just how you're going to emotionally react, maybe take a second and like think about that rather than jumping to like, oh, well, why? Like, you shouldn't have kept it secret from me.
Yeah.
You know?
But I respond specifically to the thing about the small group by saying, Mom, we're never going to join a small group. We're never going to go to church because we're both atheists. And you would think that I said that I had unalived somebody, because my mom immediately burst into hysterical tears. And what's really funny to me is I would not say that my parents are like fundamentalist Christians at all. I would say that they're Christians when it benefits them. And like growing up, I was definitely the most like fundamentalist Christian in our family, to the point where we get into arguments about stuff, because my parents were actually more relaxed than I was. But still, she only cares about Christianity when it comes to like salvation, or like I've never seen her actually model like a relationship with Christ sort of thing. She just kind of like existed while going to church. And also growing up, going to church with her, she would fall asleep during sermons every Sunday. So the irony of her losing her mind over this was hysterical. So she's like sobbing at this very fancy restaurant. The waiter keeps coming to take her order. She starts yelling at me, saying something along the lines of like, I can't believe you would do this to me. I can't believe all my children are going to hell. Like, it was bad enough that you all are gay. Because all of her kids are part of the LGBTQ plus community. But this is like next level. I can't handle it. Like, why would you tell me this right now and ruin our entire dinner? And I'm just sitting there like, you're acting like a child. Like,
yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, why are you doing this to me? Like, making it all about her when it's like, lady, this doesn't have anything to do with you.
Yeah.
Your kids being part of the LGBTQ plus community has nothing to do with you. Your kids not believing in God has literally nothing to do with you. And it's like, yeah, that is such a sign of emotionally immature parents. Like, I can't.
I have seen this type of thing happen so often to where it's like, well, this is just all about me now. The parents like, this is just about me. Why are you doing this to me? Why are you attacking me? And like, can't even have just a regular conversation. And we've seen that kind of throughout this video already. Seen that so often that I've kind of begun to wonder if emotionally immature people sometimes will be attracted to evangelical Christianity as a way to easily construct meaning, find answers, get structure, have order, slot themselves into a moral hierarchy without having to really do any work. Like basically it's kind of like a crutch for emotionally immature people. Obviously not everybody.
Yeah.
But I do kind of wonder if there is a trend, which is then revealed when they're kids leave, that like, oh, this was all about just propping you up because you have always been emotionally immature. It's not that like Christianity made you like emotionally immature.
Or it could be too that her parents are just people, and like specifically her mom is someone that is just very conforming to like society. And in American society, Christianity is the dominant religion. Most people are Christian. And so, and like, cause she was saying like that her mom doesn't really, like, she's a Christian when it benefits her, and she doesn't really seem to care about it really that much otherwise, or have like a deep, genuine relationship with Christ. So I wonder if it's like her mom is like, oh, my kids are going to stand out now. They're not going to fit in with society. And like, that's really what's bothering her.
Yeah.
My belief system should not impact the way that you view me. And I think for anybody else who's deconstructed, you know that look that people get in their eyes. If they're Christian and you tell them that you're not a Christian, it's like they go dead in the eyes almost, and they no longer view you as being somebody who has any morality, because they think that Christianity is the objective truth and objective morality. And so if you don't even believe in like the salvation story of Christianity, then they think that your morality is skewed and you're incapable of having any sense of morality, even though morality is actually a subjective thing. Like, your morals are subjective, and then there's the societal morals that we've agreed upon to like make our society exist and thrive. Although I don't think I would say that our country's society is thriving, but you get what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, I will say that I feel like at this point, just because I'm so like far removed from Christianity and have processed through a lot of stuff, that for me, telling people that I'm not a Christian or telling people that I'm a Satanist, because that's a whole other thing than telling them that you're an atheist, and I am a Satanist. I get a little bit of a thrill out of like seeing that like fear in their eyes a little bit. But I think that's because I've been doing this for a long time. Obviously, this is what we do for our jobs. And it's like, it's funny to just see that. And like, I don't know. To me, it's like, why are you afraid? Like, there's literally no reason to be afraid of me. Like, I just gave a talk at a at a Christian group at UT Austin, and like everybody there was super nice, and like they were very like gracious and asking me to come talk about Satanism. But I did learn that they, I guess, blessed the building or the room, or maybe prayed in it before I showed up as a Satanist.
Like they had like a priest come in and like bless the room.
Yeah, which I thought it was so funny, because I'm like, you're blessing this for me? Like, you're scared of me? Like, I hate public speaking. I promise you that I'm more nervous coming here and actually public speaking than you are like nervous about like interacting with me.
Yeah.
Like, so it's just funny to me, I think.
Yeah. I've definitely had this happen to me a lot of times. You know, someone will directly praise my moral character and how I have like the fruits of the spirit and stuff like that, especially with, you know, working with kids as I did before doing YouTube. People will be like, oh, you know, you're so great with kids and blah, blah, blah. And I can see that you're such a good person. And like, you have a good relationship with Christ, I can tell. And then I like came out as an atheist, and it, like immediately people started, like the same people who were saying those things were saying like, you don't live up to, you know, to morality, like to the right like standard of morality, and we can tell, and we know that you like did this and this,
like completely rewriting history.
Yeah, completely rewriting history, and or being like, oh, everybody in Drew's proximity needs to watch out because he has no handle on morality at all. And it's just like, I want to say like, motherfucker, before this, you thought I was a better person than you because of my actions. And now, because
my actions don't matter.
Yeah, my actions don't matter at all anymore. Like, how terrible is that?
That is really awful.
Yeah.
So this is continuing to happen the entire dinner. Like, she literally is crying on and off the entire thing about how all her kids are going to hell. She doesn't, like, understand what she did to deserve this. Like, the Bible says if you raise your kids in the church that even if they leave, they'll return. And so my spouse said that to her, like, if it's real, the Bible says this, so you don't have to worry because all your kids will return. Mm-hmm. Granted, we don't believe it's real, so of course we're not going to return. But, like, it just shows the dichotomy of, like, that belief system. And my dad was trying to be like diplomatic and was like, I would love to discuss with you all further like why you came to this conclusion, which means he wants to try to convince us that we're wrong. But at the very least, he wasn't like completely hysterical. But basically, both of them end up blaming me for the entire dinner being ruined when I literally just shared like a personal piece of information about me after pressure from my mom. And her reaction is what ruined the meal. I had to apologize to the waiters and waitresses so many times because of my family's behavior. And we ended up leaving like an additional tip in addition to the tips my parents left because they often aren't great tippers. And I felt really, really bad for the way they had to deal with my mom's behavior and like the fighting that was going on at our table. I don't remember really much else about it because it was honestly traumatizing to be dealing with this in public. And I just remember that, like, I felt guilty, like, I had done something wrong by sharing this piece of information about me, and did I share it hastily? Did I share it, like, out of frustration? Yes, but honestly, I would say that, like, that still doesn't warrant the reaction that I got, and the, like, guilt-tripping and the shame and the hysterics from my mother.
Yeah. No, 100%. And, you know, I think the thing, too, is because she's like, oh, did I share it hastily? Yes. I actually don't think she did.
No.
Because, like, her mom was saying, oh, you know, you guys should go to church. You should find a small group. And she was just replying to that with, well, no, we don't actually believe in God. Like, that's not somewhere where we would go. Like, her mom, her mom was the one that, like, brought up that conversation. Mm-hmm. And she was just giving an honest answer, and then her mom was the one that was having the terrible reaction to it.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't feel like she needs to feel bad, like literally at all.
Yeah. I think that like a lot of us, you know, who have dealt with situations like this, or just were like raised in evangelical Christianity where we're often like really monitoring our own behaviors in a kind of an obsessive compulsive way as not to make authority offended at our wretchedness. Like we will then be like, well, I could say what I really think in a not an insulting way, but just simply say, well, I don't believe in God, or like, oh, well, I do think that, you know, people should have the right to choose for abortion, or I think that, you know, trans people are fine. Like we'll look at our just saying those things as like a potential attack or like inflection point for fury and anger and like discord for other people, and then like preemptively place the blame on us simply because we know that the emotionally mature adults in our lives like cannot hear those things even without getting hysterical.
Yeah.
And it's like a huge part of deconstruction, I think, is not just coming to like different intellectual ideas, but also getting into a social circle where your self-monitoring behaviors like that and your anxiety surrounding even saying what you think can be fundamentally rewired because you're around people who can hear you say something that is disagreeing with them without them then punishing you as if it's an attack when it's clearly not.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that for a lot of people that are a lot of children brought up in evangelicalism, I feel like they tend to grow into people pleasing or self-monitoring adults because that's what they've been trained to do, both by like the church, because, you know, you're supposed to always be, you know, monitoring your heart and making sure that you're not thinking sinful thoughts. But then also just with your families, a lot of the time they tend to be these very black and white, good versus evil kind of people. And so it's like, yeah, part of that deconstruction process, just to echo what you were saying, is not just, coming to the belief that God isn't real or whatever deconstruction looks like for you, but also accepting yourself and having love and compassion for yourself and finding community where other people are going to be supportive of you and see you as someone that has value, regardless of like what you believe or don't believe about God.
I think that, there's no like successful endpoint to reach with deconstruction, but I do think a good benchmark to reach that is reflective of some success with dealing with your own mental health and emotional health is like getting to a point where, say you're like with your parents and you like, say like, oh, well, I'm pro-choice, and they get mad and freak out. And instead of going, oh, I know I shouldn't have brought that up. Oh, I feel so bad for, like making them upset and all that kind of stuff. Your instinctive response has been rewired to where you're like,
that's kind of crazy that you're reacting that way.
You're getting that mad about this? Like, don't you think that's kind of immature?
Yeah.
All right. How about you handle your emotions that you clearly, are underdeveloped, and you deal with that. And I'm going to be over here. And when you are done throwing a temper tantrum, we can talk like adults.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like that's definitely a great benchmark for it. And like, it's being able to place blame where it really belongs and like putting the onus of responsibility where it actually belongs. And for a lot of us, it does not belong on us.
Yeah.
And I think that that's it's going to take a lot of years, honestly. I know that from experience. I feel like I'm just at the place where I'm like really can like see that in my own real life, like relationships where I'm like, okay, they're reacting kind of crazy. This has nothing to do with me. Mm-hmm. And it's taken like 5 or 6 years to get to that point.
Yeah.
So
it's
not a quick process.
No. And I mean, for me, it's like, it was at least that amount of time, if not even more. So
yeah.
Also, the final thing I have to say about this one is, sometimes meeting in a neutral ground in a public place is a good idea, because of the reasons you mentioned.
Yeah.
Sometimes, though, it might literally cost you money and be publicly embarrassing because you've got to tip the waiters and apologize.
Yeah, but I also think that, if it were to happen at home, you're kind of, her mom's reaction could have been even worse.
Yeah.
And then you're kind of trapped there. So I still lean towards, obviously it's going to be different for everybody, but I still lean towards doing it in a public place is not a bad idea because at least you can get up and leave.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed a Drew's channel video. And just because, Taylor has Piggy on her channel at the end doesn't mean that I can't also have Piggy. So you get Piggy on both channels now. Piggy has 2 channels. So, I hope you guys enjoyed that. And I guess until next time, that's brand exclusionary to June Skeptic. What should I say at the end? I don't know what to say at the end. Bye.